We're back to talk about more villains of the Flash. Starting off with Weather Wizard, personally, I thought Weather Wizard was a great villain, even if the character did kind of disappear. And I understand why, it's because the actor didn't want to return, and I understand that. But I personally think their powers are really cool, and I like that Weather Wizard became an actual threat, because in the comics, sometimes he kind of comes across as comedic relief. I don't mean like all the time, but like there's certain comics where like it's just hard to take the guy serious because his costume in the comics is so outlandish. I mean, I understand it and I get it, and it's just the bright green and yellow sometimes. I just think it makes him come across hard to take as an actual threat. So I'm glad they changed the character's outfit, and I think the character also comes across very powerful with how he uses his abilities to actually like terrorize people. Because I think a lot of times when you think about the character, you don't think like, oh, he's just like a random one done villain. But the reality is, he can be extremely dangerous if he wanted to be, and he is on the show. And I really like the tidal wave he made. I thought that was amazing, and I thought his plan was also extremely thought out. Next is Peekaboo. I actually really like Peekaboo. I think her power set is very interesting to the fact that it's cheaply done, therefore they can actually do it a lot more and show her abilities more because her powers are so cheap to do. And I also like the fact that the character does return later on down the line, and I think she is one of the metahumans that you just like instantly remember. For example, like when she appeared at the beginning of season 4, you like were instantly like, oh, that's Peekaboo who they're fighting. And it's a nice like one and done scene to have her show up. Same thing when she appeared in season 5 as one of the metahumans the Kato's after. Personally, I really like Peekaboo. Yes, I know the character is more or less not really like a deep character. She's more or less a one and done type. And honestly, I'm okay with that. I think the character is a good one and done type. I do hope she appears at least in a cameo in the final season of the show, but if she doesn't, I understand and I'm okay with that. Next is Magenta. Personally, I'm a big fan of Magenta from the comics, so when the character is brought in on the show, I will be honest, I was a little disappointed because the character in the comics is such a big character, and on the show, that she was really not really anything. Although I will say this, her powers were really, really cool and really, really just interesting to watch. I love what she did with the boat. I love what she did with the light. I just really, really liked her powers. Even if the character herself wasn't interesting, her powers were extremely cool to watch. King Shark. I really, really liked King Shark on the show. I thought the character was even better than he's in the comics. I've found the character in the comics okay, but the character in the show I thought was so much scarier because the fact that the character I thought was really brought to life in a way that was really well done, surprisingly. Especially for a TV show budget, it was really impressive. And personally, I was okay with that the character got redeemed. But I will admit I was a little bit sad that he didn't come back. Because like I said, I really like the character. And we don't actually know if he exists or not still on Earth 1 or Earth Prime. I presume he does, and I hope he does, because he's a really, really cool character, and I hope he returns in the final season at least one time. Despero. Honestly, I thought Despero was okay. He wasn't my favorite, and I didn't think the character was a good representation of the character of Despero from the comics. But he was okay, I guess. But I would have just named him something other than Despero, because he wasn't really Despero. I would have given him maybe like a different name, like Hanjaro, like the other alien character from the comics. Because for a character who's meant to be this whole like big, intelligent character for the comics and alien stuff, he really just came across like another Freak of the Week. Mirror Master. I personally really liked Mirror Master when he first appeared on the show, but then he got killed off screen, which was unfortunate. And I understand that the character of Mirror Monarch in the comics is technically a version of Mirror Master, that being the Evan version who is renamed Eva on the show. But I am kind of disappointed that the Sam Scudder version of Mirror Master didn't really get to do much because he only appeared in season 3 really, because when he came back in season 7, he got killed off. It's because Mirror Master in the comics is such a big villain, I would have kept him around maybe a couple episodes and have him like a recurring villain at least. But instead he got killed off screen. Well, technically he was on screen, but like it was a different actor, it was from the back, and we just saw him get shattered. And the final character I want to talk about is Dr. Light, that is a Kimiya Hoshi version, not the Linda Park version. Personally, as a Kimiya Hoshi fan of the comics, I was not a big fan of this version of the character due to the fact that it depicts a character completely different than she's in the comics. I am someone that is very, very much open to change. But this is just so much. You change the character power set, You change her outfit, you change her whole affiliation, that making her a villain, and it just makes the character come across very one note. On the comics, she's actually a pretty deep character. So, yeah, not a big fan of that. If this character was named something else other than Dr. Light, I'd probably been okay with her. But because she was named Dr. Light, it just makes me feel like it's a complete waste of the character. And that's it. Personally, I'm not entirely sure how many of these videos I'm going to make. Probably one or two more, considering the fact there's so many Flash villains. But until then, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!